Hey guys, it's TRX Master Instructor Amy McMullen, and today I've got a 45-minute full body strength workout for you using the TRX suspension trainer and the mini bands. All right. So today's workout is going to be squat focused and booty focused when it comes to the mini bands. And over on the straps, we're going to be doing some push and pull work for the upper body and some plank work for our core. You're going to need your straps. You're going to need your mini band. Go ahead and grab a mat for the floor work and then have your water nearby for some of those rest periods. We've got 4 rounds of work today. And like usual with my workouts, each round is going to get a little bit more difficult in the level of difficulty for the exercise and the complexity of the exercise as well. We're going to be going for some combos today at the end of our workout, and I'm excited. So I don't know about you guys, but if you're tracking your workouts and you want to go ahead and get credit for this, go ahead and hit go on whatever workout tracker you have. I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to tighten up this pony and get ready for some work. All right. So let me hit play over here and let's go ahead and get warmed up. All right. So I'm going to get those things out of the way. Straps are going to be mid-length and you can leave them there for the whole warm-up. What we've got is a squat row to get us started, all right, and some squat flies. So go ahead and lean back, feet slightly wider than your hips. We're going to take one hack squat with a high row, and then we're going to take one with a Y fly. So as soon as I straighten my hips, I'm going to keep them straight as I come back up for that fly. So palms are down for the high row, and then knuckles go up to the sky for this Y fly. So I'm keeping a nice flat back, booty towards my heels, chest towards my hands. All right. Booty towards my heels, pulling my chest towards my hands. And then on that Y fly, same idea here, keeping the back flat and the hips straight as those arms come up. So you can alternate these guys as you feel. You can do a couple of one and then a couple of other if you want to get wild. Eyes are up on the anchor point the whole time. We're just trying to get those shoulders warmed up because we've got some overhead work today in this workout. All right. So all the way up and back down. All right. We've got a forward lunge with a split fly. So we're going to face away from the anchor point. You're going to have your palms down out in front of you with your feet together. Hips are straight. Take a forward lunge forward. So I'm going to step forward, drop my back knee. Now arms, usually we go up overhead. This time we're doing a split fly. So whichever leg goes to the front, I want you to twist towards that side of the room and then step back together and switch legs. So my left leg is going forward. I'm going to split over to the left side of the room. So a little split fly here. And what we're doing is we're trying to open up our palms to the front of the room, or the side of the room, I guess I should say. And we're trying to get a big stretch in the chest and the shoulders. So the legs are getting warm, hip, knees, and ankles. The upper body is getting a little opened up. We got rollouts next. So we got to get our spine ready to stabilize for us, abs ready to help do that work. So we're going to go palms down at shoulder height. I try to keep my wrists nice and straight here. Up on the toes. Squeeze the booty to keep the hips straight, and you're going to raise your arms overhead, keeping that plank nice and tight, and then coming back down. So this is, again, just a warm-up move, so you do not have to take your arms all the way behind your body. So arms are going out in front of you like Superman. You're coming back down. You're trying to keep your head still so you don't chicken peck at the end of the move. And I always tell people, go out to the spot where your abs feel a little bit shaky, and then bring it back from there. So you can get more range of motion if you want to feel this more, but try not to take your arms past your head. All right. You can always just scoot back to make that a little bit tougher if you want. We're going to go to some wall slides. So we're going to turn around and face the anchor point, and you're going to take the back of your hands into the back of the foot cradles, thumbs on the outside. So I'm going to do that with both sides, facing the anchor point. I'm not leaning away. I'm just standing straight up, and I'm going to pull my hands back, almost like stick 'em up hands. All right. From here, hiding the ribs, I'm going to fire my arms backwards to keep the straps tight, and then I'm going to raise my arms overhead and then lower them back down as if I were sliding them up a wall behind me and back down. So if you've ever gone to physical therapy for a shoulder issue, they've probably had you do these where you've got to stand your back up against a wall and push your hands, slide it along the wall. That's all we're doing here. So we're trying to fire backwards to light up the back side of the shoulder and those postural muscles. All right, rest. So from here, we've got some single arm golf swings. Love these. These are my favorite. I'm going to scoot away from my wall though, so I don't backhand it. I'm going to go palms down at about hip height. I'm going to take a little quarter squat and a hinge forward, and I'm going to twist from one side to the other. So opening up my body to the right side of the room, but keeping my eyes down, and then back to center, and then doing the same thing on the left side, back to center. So right arm circles around, back to center, left arm circles around, back to center. Now I'm keeping my eyes down. If you need to check me out for a second, go ahead and do it. I look good. So as I'm taking my arm around, I'm also taking my hip with me. So one hip comes back and the other one kind of rotates around with it. So I'm just reaching side to side, and that's giving me a lot of rotation in my shoulders, my spine, my hips. Everything feels really good. This last one, favorite one. So side to side lunge with a little Cossack in the middle. This is great for hip mobility, and it's going to help get our legs warmed up for what we're going to do later. Elbows at our sides, feet really wide. I'm going to start over to my right side in a little side lunge. So I'm shifting my weight over my right heel. Then I'm going to take my left toe up towards the ceiling and then kind of sit back. Now you can lean back on the straps if that helps. And then I'm going to I like taking a little hip scrub here with the right knee, just kind of back and forth, side to side, windshield wiper-esque. And then I'm going to use my arms to pull myself back up to the top and do the same thing to the other side. Shifting my hip over my heel in a little side lunge, taking my right toe this time up to the sky, and then sitting back. Now I'm trying to keep this foot flat on the floor, and I'm trying to keep my back flat here. So I've got some good ankle mobility, but if you don't, grab the foot cradles and lean back a little bit more. And obviously don't go all the way down if you can't do that. I'm going to take a little hip scrub side to side, and then I'm going to use my arms to kind of pull me all the way back up to standing. All right. I would do that for like 20 minutes if we had time. We don't have time for that though. It's time to get ready and get our mini bands on for our first exercise. I would recommend starting with a lighter mini band just until you get the feel for things, and then you can bump up to a heavier one if you want to later. Like I said, we've got 4 rounds of this today, so you've got plenty of chances to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this down here, kind of like maybe 6 to 8 inches above my ankles, right on both feet. We're going to start with a squat and a leg abduction, just moving the right leg. So I'm going to squat here, and then I'm going to stand up. From here, I'm going to try to take my foot wider than it was, and then come back to my feet about hip distance apart. Squat here, stand up. I'm going to shift my weight over, but not lean over, and then take this leg out. So we're just doing a squat, abduction, squat, abduction. Abduction is just the anatomical term for taking your leg out away from your other leg. All right. Squat, abduct, squat, abduct. Now, you don't have to go fast. This is a strength workout, so we're going more for harder rather than lots of reps. But I do want your hips to come all the way straight each time you come up. So rest for a second. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So feet are going to be wherever you squat from. So I'm slightly wider than my hips. I take a slight turnout with my toes, but your toes and your knees should be facing the same direction. So left side, squat down, stand all the way up first, get your weight on this foot, and then take your foot wider and come back in. So squat first, come up, out, and back in. And if you want to go faster, you can smoosh the 2 moves together for a little combo move. But like I said, we're more focused on strength today, so we're trying to make the move hard with fewer reps. But if you're at home and you're like, I want to go fast, go fast. I can't stop you, all right? But like I said, we're trying to come tailbone towards the floor. If you can get your hips down to about knee depth, great. And then stand all the way straight for that leg. So now the easy way to get out is if you turn your heel inside and come out, just sometimes watch it, it'll catch your shoelace and untie your shoe for you. We'll come back to this in a minute. We're going over to our straps for a high row with external rotation. So usually with rows, we shorten our straps all the way up, but I'm gonna leave mine at mid-length because we're pairing it with some other stuff today. So I'm gonna face the anchor point. I'm gonna walk in to my high row, palms down, elbows at my sides, and then I'm gonna set my feet wide to start. I'm gonna straighten my arms. First, I'm gonna start with the row. When I get to about halfway or my elbows at my sides, I'm gonna take my knuckles and turn them up towards the sky like a goalpost position, and then I'm gonna lower them down and come right back out, all right? So row, rotate, down, and out. If I come around to you guys so you can see my back a little bit more, pull, rotate, in and back, pull, rotate. So these smaller rotator cuff muscles behind the shoulder are gonna get a little bit more work than usual here, but I've got to have a light angle to be able to do this because I don't want my hips having to pull me up, all right? TRX chest press is next. So we're gonna lengthen our straps all the way to long. We're gonna face away from the anchor point. We've got a 45-second set of chest presses here. So hands down at chest height. I like to turn my pinkies down just slightly, so they're a little bit lower than my thumbs. I'm gonna lower my chest towards my hands, and I'm gonna press all the way back up, all right? So hands are gonna stay in the same spot. Chest is coming down towards my hands, and I'm straightening my arms to press up my plank. Chest towards the hands, straighten the arms. Chest towards the hands, straighten the arms. Now, if you can see, the straps are hovered just above my arms so that my shoulders have to do a lot of stabilizing, all right? Now, there are variations where you can move your arms around. On this one, I want you to stay with the hands in the same spot the whole time, all right? Rest. We're gonna go to the floor for some leg drops. We need our straps at mid-calf length. So if you stand under the anchor point, shorten them up so that the handle's at the bottom of your kneecap, and then you're gonna lay on your back with your head under the anchor point, all right? So head underneath, palms are gonna go down in the foot cradles. I'm gonna press my hands down actively the whole time and lift my legs up. So level 1 version, drop one leg, then the other, okay? The back stays flat and the pelvis stays still. So I'm not rocking back and forth here. Level 2, both legs straight down, straight up. You can go all the way to the floor, but don't touch the floor, all right? And come back up. Same deal like I was saying earlier, you do not have to do this fast. I really don't want you to do it fast if your spine is moving around. So what we're trying to do is keep the arms totally still, the spine and hips totally still, and just move the legs, all right? So now we're gonna go to a plank. So I'm gonna scooch my mat forward a little bit, and we gotta pop our toes in for some planks. So grabbing your foot cradles, lay back. The toes are gonna go up through the bottom, and then swoosh yourself over, all right? So you can be on your hands or your forearms. I'm gonna go forearms here. Parallel forearms, I'm gonna press my hips up, and then I'm gonna straighten my legs out. I'm pushing my heels back on the handles here. Actually, I feel like I'm off. If you feel like you're off balance or center, you probably are. So just giving myself a little maneuver there. We're just holding here, all right? If you are up on your hands, you're just hanging out. We're focusing on pulling our belly button away from the floor, keeping our legs straight and our heels pushing back on that anchor. Now, if you are on your hands, try not to be shoulders way forward. You want your shoulders right over your hands or your elbows, all right? So that was round 1. You got a glimpse of our exercises. Now round 2, we're gonna start over. So you need to get your feet back in the mini bands, and we're gonna start to add some goodies, okay? So like I said earlier, if you wanna switch out your band, you can. I've got a medium one and a heavy one. I'm gonna stick with the medium one for this guy, and I'm gonna have it a little bit higher this time because we're gonna go into some hip extension, all right? So now, if your balance is good, you can stay where you're at. If you want some help, you can hold on to your straps. we're gonna stand here. You're gonna stand on your left foot. You're gonna take your right leg back behind you. Little bit of a pitch forward here from your hips, and you're just taking that leg straight back and in. So if I look at my back leg, my toe is pointing straight forward. Yours might turn out to the side. So you're trying to take your heel straight up to the ceiling. Now, if you feel like that's not very hard, now I want you to start lowering that band down. So maybe about halfway up your shins, maybe let go of the straps, but you're taking your legs straight back without twisting your hips. Both hip bones are facing straight forward, and you should feel this in your hamstring and your booty here, okay? And we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. So, body up nice and tall. I'm gonna stand on my right foot this time. I can bend this knee, and I'm gonna keep my weight forward just a little bit, all right? So, foot is in the back. Go ahead and check to make sure your foot's pointing straight forward. And you're gonna take your heel straight up to the ceiling. So, the muscles, so hip extension means your leg goes back, your hip straightens out a little bit. So you have your booty to thank for this movement and your hammies. So that's where we want to feel this move. One thing that can go wrong, especially if we're either weak at this or we've got our core is just not turned on as much as it should be. One thing that'll happen is you'll start to arch your back in and out. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to pull my belly button back to my spine and keep all this as still as possible while I do that movement, okay? And you should also feel your other booty because it's stabilizing while you do this. So I'm gonna kick my feet out of here and try not to fall on my face on camera. We're going back to our chest exercises. So we've got a chest, we're going to the overhead back extension. We can stay at mid-calf length for this one, that's gonna be fine. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take our arms overhead, like knuckles to the ceiling, feet wide. We're gonna rock back on our heels, taking your tailbone towards the sky and kind of fold yourself in half, looking at the floor. Now, as I press my hips forward to come up, I'm gonna take my arms overhead, knuckles towards the sky, come through flat feet, and then up on my toes at the top of the move. So I've got a straight line here at the top. Rock back to my heels, fold in half, look at the floor. Press the hips forward to come up, arms up, come up to the toes at the top, straighten everything back out. Now, if you feel like you can do more, scoot forward to make your angle a little bit harder. Back to the heels, fold yourself in half, hips forward, arms up. Rock back to the heels, tailbone to the floor, hips forward, come all the way up. Can you keep your back flat while you go through this hip hinge and that hip straighten, okay? Now we're going to the chest. Yes, chest fly. Long straps all the way out, so a little bit further than where they were. Face away from the anchor point. This time, your palms are gonna face in towards each other. Slight bend of the elbows. Straps come like side of your neck. So I'm gonna straighten my hips, slowly open my arms. My chest will come forward. I'm gonna pull everything back up. Now, your elbows are slightly bent, so I don't know if you can kind of see from this direction or not, but it's like you're opening double doors, presenting and then coming back in. So my wrists are straight. I've got a good grip on the straps, but I'm not like over gripping. My elbows are slightly bent, and I'm trying to keep my hands at chest height this whole time, all right? So again, the depth is what makes this harder resistance-wise. So if you want more, get a little bit deeper, but remember your shoulders have to be able to stabilize that amount as well. We're going back to the floor for the leg drops, so I want you to go ahead and get your straps at mid-calf length. Tilt the barrel lock, pull that handle up to the bottom of your kneecap, and get your mat set up so that you can put your head right under the anchor. All right, so you know the drill now. Hands in the foot cradles, pressing down, legs up. Oblique leg drop means we're gonna roll over onto our right hip, drop the legs down towards the corner on my mat, and then I'm gonna pull all the way back up, back to center, and then do the same thing on the other side. Left booty has the weight, legs are going down on the diagonal, coming right back up. Now, other side. When my legs go to the right, my arms are gonna wanna shoot to the left to counterbalance this, but my goal is to keep the hands and the upper body right where it is and take the lower body back and forth. So my hips do get to shift. One shoulder will come off a little bit, but not a ton. All right? We got to get our toes in now. I believe we have single leg crunches. Oh yeah. So pop your toes in however you know best. I'm just going to reach back and put my toes in this way. Now, you're going to hit your plank. Again, forearms or hands. One knee is going to come in at a time. So I'm out here. I have a wrist thing going on with a little cyst, so I got to be down here on my forearms, but not because I want to be. But as I bring one knee in, I'm going to lift my hips up a little bit and then kick the legs back out. Little hip lift as the knee comes in. The other leg stays straight, and then I kick both heels back to the handles. So, little hip lift and back in. Now, I've got overhead shoulder mobility issues, which is why I tend to like being up on my hands for this, but because I can't be, I've got to be down here on my forearms. But it's really hard for me to be on my forearms and take my hips up, so I'm going to be moving a little slower on that one. All right, so that was 2 rounds. We're going back to round 3. I need you to get your feet back in the straps. Or, nope, in the bands. I'm going to take a quick sip of water. So this time, we're going to take a little leg rainbow, all right? It's going to be lovely. So I've got my legs in. I'm going to have this about halfway up my shins. If you want it a little bit harder, put it down further towards your ankles, all right? So now, same deal. We're going to stand on one leg, and you're going to rainbow the other leg back and forth. So I'm going to stand on my left leg first. I'm going to take my right leg, straighten it back behind me, kind of out to the side a little bit on the diagonal. I'm going to find my balance on this left leg, and I'm going to take my right leg up and over, up and over. And I'm trying to keep my torso and my pelvis as still as possible. So if you had like 2 headlights here on your pelvis, the lights would stay where they were while the leg goes back and forth. So my back leg is staying straight so that the booty and the hamstrings are doing the work here. Now, like I said, you can do whatever you need to with your arms. You can hold on to your straps. You can hold on to a chair or a wall. But you'll find there's a lot of work going on in the leg that's moving, and there's a lot of stabilizing work going on in the leg that's holding everything up. So you get the best of both worlds. We're being efficient here, all right? Multitasking. Stand on your right foot. Left foot's going to go out on the diagonal. Little pitch forward here in your upper body, and that leg is going to come up and cross over, up and cross over. Now, if you're like me and you know you've got one leg stronger or more stable than the other, you probably did your good leg first. So this is not necessarily my bad leg, but if you've listened to me talk about it before, this right ankle of mine, I've sprained it twice. So I got a lot of scar tissue and a torn ligament in there. So this leg always is harder. My knee wants to dive in, and this hip is not as strong as the other side. So I have to move a little bit slower on this side, but that's okay. Rest. All right, so wiggle out of this guy. We're going back to the straps, and we're going to take some combo stuff now. So we're going to pair up half of the back extension with that high row and rotation, all right? So we're going to smoosh these two together. Eyes on the anchor point, palms down, and what we're going to do here is work the whole back side, okay, from heels to shoulders. So I'm going to start in my high row, walk my feet forward a little bit. I'm going to straighten out my arms, hinge at the hips, drop my tailbone back like the back extension. Then I'm going to draw my hips forward to come up into the high row and then rotate my arms. And now I've got to scoot forward because that's a weird angle. So arms down and straight, hips drop back, hips come forward, pull, and rotate, all right? And then once you feel like you've got a handle on it, you can put these all together, hips drop, straighten, pull, rotate. Everything back out. Now, I've got these wood floors, so my floor is a little bit slippery. If I could do this barefoot, I would, but rocking back onto the heels will help you out, all right? and rest. So now, take your straps all the way long. We got the TRX clock press. So our straps are long. We're gonna face away from the anchor point. One arm is gonna do a press, one arm is gonna do a fly. So if I face you a little bit, I'm gonna turn my right palm in like I was gonna do a chest fly and this left pinky down. This elbow comes out to the side, the other arm presses, and I'm gonna switch. So this arm is in for a chest press, the other arm goes out for a chest fly. So a little bit of rotation has to happen in the shoulders. The chest is coming down to the front. One arm pushes, one arm flies. And then if you've got it, we've got about 15 seconds left. See if you can get a little bit lower in your angle. Move slowly to make sure you can handle that amount of resistance. The chest press is easier to do resistance-wise than the chest fly. So you may not be as deep as the normal chest press because of that fly action, but it's still a great move. We're coming down to the ground. Straps need to be, for our leg drops, straps need to be mid-calf length. Get your head under the anchor point. We're going back to our leg drops in the center. Okay, you already know these. Head under your straps, palms down, legs up. Like I said, you've got one leg at a time for the drops. If you want more, 2 legs at a time for the drops. And those arms are straight and pressing down in your foot cradles the entire time. So I'm lowering my heels towards the floor. I'm trying to talk and breathe at the same time. Whew. And I'm trying to keep the natural curve of my spine. So you guys keep going. There's a natural curve right here. It's the little lift of my spine off the ground, that lumbar curve there. So what I'm trying to do is I'm not trying to pin it to the floor and I'm not trying to let it pop off any further. I'm trying to keep that neutral spine stiff and stable so that it stays safe, all right? So toes back in. What do we got? Plank plus abduction. All right, so pop those toes in. I just kicked my mat. It was perfectly aligned. All right, so you're gonna hold your plank and then you've got a 2-leg abduction. So I'm here on my forearms, I'm kicking my heels back. Both legs are gonna come out, both legs are gonna come in. Both legs are gonna go out, both legs are gonna come in. Now, if you want this harder, I feel like my pants are falling down, so I'm gonna straighten these out. If you want it harder, go one leg at a time. So you're here, right leg out, left leg stays still, come back to center, and then switch. The leg that's not moving, it's gonna wanna shoot out to the other side. Try not to let it, all right? So again, one leg at a time or 2 legs at a time. Ooh, this is killing my shoulders. Just try to stay parallel. It's harder on my shoulders than it is on my abs. All right, rest there. Okay, so that was 3 sets. We've got another set to go. This time, we're gonna do a little combo. So we're gonna smoosh together all the things that we've done so far, starting with the squat, then going to the abduction, and then we're gonna take our little rainbow leg, all right, and then start it over. So all this is gonna happen with the right leg going out first, all right? So I'm gonna get my legs wherever I squat from. So for me, slightly wider than my hips, tiny bit turned out, which is a vast improvement over the years from having to be completely turned out. So my body's up nice and tall. I'm gonna start with my squat. I'm gonna come up, abduct, and come back in. I'm gonna take the leg back on the diagonal, rainbow out, rainbow back, and start over. Squat, abduction, back out, rainbow to the side, rainbow to the side. Squat, come up, abduction, and back. Take the leg back, rainbow side, rainbow side. I can do more, so I'm gonna lower this down. My straps are a little bit high. All right, down closer to my ankles. So down, leg out, leg back, rainbow, rainbow. Squat, out, and back. And if you like my ballet arms, they help, so don't make fun. You can do it too. All right, so same thing on the other side. Hopefully you had a lot going on in your hip. So not only the leg that's moving, but the leg that's stabilizing as well. Other side, here we go. Squat, abduct as you come up, take the leg back, rainbow back, rainbow out, come back up, straight hips. Squat, abduct, foot back on the diagonal, rainbow, rainbow, back in. Now, the leg that's stationary, it's gonna wanna do all this wobbling, and you're gonna try to not let it. So, especially when you do those rainbows, I'm looking at this leg down here and trying to keep it as still as possible. So it's okay for it to stay a little bit bent. You come up all the way on the abduction. I'm gonna pitch forward here for the rainbows. Out, this right ankle is like, what are you doing? All right, so done with that guy. Get out of there. All right, going to our back extension. This time, we're adding an overhead press at the very end. So we have like 50 things going on. Find your in range in that giant X position. You're gonna face the anchor point. You're gonna lower, your feet are gonna be about a little wider than your hips. I'm gonna lower my hands down, rotate them forward, straighten my arms out, and then drop my hips and come all the way back up. So hips forward, high row, external rotation. Now keep the tension on the straps as you press your arms overhead and back down, out, hip drop. So it's like a little wall slide at the top of that move. And if you're really pulling back on the straps the whole time, pulling back as you raise your arms overhead, you'll really feel those muscles in your upper back and shoulders light up. But the trick is to not arch your back and not press your hips forward on the way out, or else you might not feel that. But, that whole, it doesn't look like a lot if you're just watching it, but if you're doing it, you feel it. So, lengthen out those straps all the way. We're back to our clock press. Now, what we can do is we can try different angles with the flying arm. All right, so I'm gonna start with the regular ones. So, one arm presses, one arm flies, back to center. Same thing on the other side. Now, this fly arm can go up on the diagonal, it can go down on the diagonal. The up on the diagonal doesn't work for my shoulders, so I'm gonna go down a little bit and then come back to center, and then do the same thing on this arm, a little bit lower than my shoulder, come back to center. Then I'm gonna do one straight out to the side like a normal chest fly. Same thing on the other side, and back and forth. So if you wanna play around with those different angles, every time you fly, go for it. And that's why this is called the clock press, because your arms are kind of like the hands on the clock, cruising out to different directions, working that shoulder a bunch of different ways. All right, relax. Oblique leg drops. Straps need to be mid-calf length. Handles to the bottom of the kneecaps. Head under the anchor point. We're going back to the corners this time with those leg drops. So, head under the anchor. If you've got like a kid nearby, tell them to come stand right in front of your legs. And what you can do is if they're standing still, you can try to take your legs over to one side of them and then back up and try not to touch them. Okay, other side. My arms are staying still. I'm trying to breathe as I do this. And I'm pressing down in those straps to steal some stability from there. All right, so one hip comes off, legs go down on the diagonal and back up, and I'm trying to keep my back as still as possible. There's a little bit of rotation that comes in there, and if it's, you can keep your shoulders pinned to the floor, or you can lift one off so it comes with you a little bit. It's whatever your spine feels best at. Woo. Okay, last exercise. We have a crunch and an abduction. Little combo here with what we've added so far. So single leg crunch, like we did before, and then either a two-legged abduction or a single leg abduction. It's up to you. I'll show you both. So hands or forearms. Kick your heels back on the plank. Single leg crunch right, come back out. Single leg crunch left, come back out. Abduction both legs, abduction both legs. Now, if you want the other one, crunch right, back out. Crunch left, back out. Right leg abduction, left leg abduction, okay? Keep cruising here at whichever one you want. So the hips come up on the crunch, either side, and then either two regular abductions or one right, one left. Crunch and back, crunch and back. Right leg, left leg. Whew. All right. Okay. I'm sweaty. We're going to take a little stretch here. I feel like my hair is wild, but that's okay. We're going to go for a little chest stretch. I'm going to wipe the sweat off my brow. And we're going to grab the straps, face away from the anchor point here. Palms are going to turn in. Thumbs are going up at about chest height. And I'm going to walk forward. So I'm trying to take my shoulders back and down. So think proud chest, Care Bear stare, anything along those lines. And just walk forward until you feel a stretch in your pecs. You might get some in your biceps as well. And we have 45 seconds for each of these stretches, most of them anyway. So feel free to come back and rest and then take a second set. We got plenty of time for that. We have 17 seconds left here. So it's easy for me to let my pelvis tilt forward and my back to arch. So I really have to focus on like pulling my belly in and tucking my hips under a little bit to get them straight. And rest. Okay, low back stretch with rotation. This feels so good. I'm gonna face the anchor point. I'm gonna walk back so my arms are straight. Very, very light angle, okay? Palms down. From here, I'm going to drop my tailbone back and then let myself hang. Now, I'm going to scoot my feet back to make my ankles feel better. Now, I'm going to add some rotation here. If you just want to stay here, you can. Get a little decompression for your spine. If you want to add the rotation, I'm going to bend my left knee straight forward. Then I'm going to turn my entire torso to the right side of the room. I'm going to press that knee forward as I rotate. I'm going to pull this right hip to the back wall. And then if you're pretty flexible in the hamstrings and you want a little bit more, take this right toe and pull it straight up to the sky. And it's going to want to wing out to the side, but you keep it straight up, and then we'll go back to the other side. So bend the right knee. Oh, no, I didn't do it even. That's okay. We'll stay here for another 5 or 10 seconds. Twisting to the left, taking that left toe up to the sky if you want more, and we'll come back up. All right, offset hip hinge. Palms down right in front of your torso. Right foot steps forward, both toes pointing forward. I'm going to hinge at my hips, and I'm going to let myself come forward here. Now, I have creepy hyperextended joints. I'm sure some of you have noticed. But my knee, if I straighten it all the way, it goes backwards. So I'm going to keep it bent just a little bit. And I'm going to keep my left hip pressing forward so that my hips stay square. And I get this hamstring stretch all the way up this side leg, the back of my right leg here. And I'm going to come all the way up and do the same thing on the other side. So right leg back, left leg forward. Now this side is not as flexible, so my hips really want to turn out to try to help me get further, but I'm going to try to keep my right hip pressed forward, left knee slightly bent. I'm going to stick my booty out and my chest forward, diving my hands towards the anchor point, reaching those arms out. And I'm going to stop when I feel a slight stretch. Now, because I can't go as far on this left leg, I'm going to scoop back a little bit so the straps are kind of helping me balance. Now, I'm trying to press my belly towards my leg and tilt my tailbone up towards the sky here to get a little higher stretch in that hamstring. And press down to come all the way back up. All right, we've got a standing figure 4. So for all that booty work we did, you might feel your hips tomorrow. So I'm going to stand facing the anchor point. I'm going to center my left foot with the anchor, elbows at my sides with the straps tight. I'm going to take this right ankle across my left knee, and you've got some options here. You can hinge forward with a nice flat back, sending your hips out. You can come up. If your arms are kind of shaky and you want to just let them relax a little bit, straighten your arms out and sit like you're sitting in a chair. That way your grip is working, but your arms are actually just kind of chilling out here. So I'm trying to pull my ribs in so my back doesn't arch and just sink straight towards the floor with my tailbone. Come all the way back up and we'll switch sides. So right foot is going to center up with the anchor point. Elbows at my sides with the straps tight. I'm going to take my left ankle, cross it over the right knee, and let that left knee drop down a little bit. From here, same idea. Do whatever you did on the other side. So if you kept your weight on the foot with like a light grip on the straps and you just took this little hinge, you can do that. And you can actually work up and down here. You can take a few reps if you want. If, like I was saying earlier, if your arms are kind of shaky and tired, send them straight, look forward, and then from here, my head's over my hips, I'm just gonna sink down towards the ground. All right, and back up. I think we've got, a little half kneeling hip flexor stretch. So I'm gonna stand with my arms overhead, but my hands in front of my face a little bit. I'm gonna take my left foot forward and my right toe back, and I'm gonna do a little mini lunge here. You can take your knee all the way to the floor if you've got some padding nearby. I'm gonna tuck my hips under, and I'm gonna take my left arm down and my right arm straight up overhead. Now, I can take a little bit more, so I'm gonna walk forward here. It's a little scoochy scooch. And then my right arm, my top arm is reaching up and over. I'm looking back at my left hand so I get a nice stretch along my neck here to the right. And I feel this from my shoulder down my torso and my hip flexor and a little bit in my quad too. Come back up to center and let's switch legs. So arms are overhead, right foot forward this time, left toe back. I'm gonna drop my knees straight down and I'm gonna tuck my pelvis under. So my right arm is gonna reach back. My top arm, my left arm is gonna reach up and over. And I'm reaching this arm. I'm trying to take my shoulder blade up as I go over and then look back at this back hand. Okay, so I'm really pulling my hips under. I'm gonna scoot forward a little bit to get a little bit more of these last 8 seconds here. And I feel this all the way down my torso, my hip flexor, and my quad. Whew. Ah. All right, guys. So that was your strength workout for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, for your strength workout, we're going bigger resistance, slower, fewer reps. But yeah, tomorrow you should feel your chest from some of that chest work. You should feel your entire posterior chain, or what we call all the muscles on the back side of the body. So shoulders, back, booty, hammies, the whole nine. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I will see you next workout. Thanks so much for joining me.